Prologue. Draconis Beacon, year unknown. We found the gate by accident. We should never have opened it. The corridors sing now, low and constant, as if the ship itself grieves. Presence moves between the bulkheads, not crew, not enemy. It watches us, but we cannot see its eyes. If anyone finds this vessel, seal it. Do not enter. The recording ended on a breath and a burst of static. Chapter 1, Ghost in the Dark. 1. The Drift. The nebula ahead looked akin to a bruise laid across the stars. A small silver pin, its edges dulled by years of handling, sat at the base of the captain's console. She adjusted it once, then again, a reflex more than thought. She didn't look at it, but her thumb rested there until the next course correction. In the quiet before the nebula filled the view, the bridge air carried a faint resonance, not unlike a ship's heartbeat. The hull plating registered faint thermal spikes, not enough to trip alarms, but enough to make the engineers glance twice at their boards. From the Starfall's wide viewing arc, the Sydney drift sprawled in coils of violet and iron blue, slow lightning pulsing inside like breath behind frosted glass. Somewhere in the hull, a faint, uneven tap rippled through the deck plating. Oren's gaze flicked down, but Talia waved it off, probably thermal flex. Still, the rhythm was irregular enough to carry the feel of intent. The sound came again, a hollow, bone-on-bone knock that seemed to shift position along the deck. Somewhere in the corner of her eye, Arya thought she saw a light on the bulkhead dim half a heartbeat late, as if whatever moved beneath the plates had its own timing. Radiation grazed the hull in soft, soundless hisses that the ship translated into numbers on a dozen consoles. The bridge lights were low and steady, breathing with the ship. For a moment, a faint scent of ozone threaded through the air, the tang of a relay burning out. No alarms followed. The smell was gone before anyone could comment. Only then did the figure in the central chair shift into the light. Captain Arya Vance, spine straight, hands relaxed on the rests, carried command like a second skin, not heavy, but unshakable. A pale crescent burn scar traced along her jaw, half hidden by the collar, a gift from a ship that hadn't survived the void. "Report," she said, voice calm. Jace Korn glanced up from the engineering system's console tied into the bridge's sensor feed. Radiation elevated but within tolerance. EM interference is spiking, call it environmental static. Sensor returns are mercurial. "You mean messy," Lieutenant Commander Talia Rin said from her console beside the helm, fingers dancing over flight control subsystems akin to a musician tuning by ear. In her hands, the Starfall's engines almost sang. For half a breath, one harmonic registered an echo that didn't come from the ship. Harmonics tuned. "Don't do that again," she told the nebula. Malek Rowe watched tactical from the pit, tall, still, all edges. "We're in a region with a reputation. Ghost returns. Missing ships." Oren Sato smirked from the helm. "And one missing dawn chaser. That's the whole reason we're here. Not ghosts." His tone was light, but his eyes didn't quite meet Arya's. It was the same look he'd given her the first day aboard, measuring her decisions before she'd even made them. "Stay sharp anyway," Arya said. Oren's fingers tightened briefly on the helm yoke, not in acknowledgement, but in something closer to restraint. Above, Ilara Miles had 3 star charts floating akin to stained glass over her desk. The 4th century Lyra survey called this lane a cultural dead zone. No settlements. No trade routes. "People skirt potholes too," Oren said. "Doesn't mean there isn't a good diner on the other side." Celine Ward stepped in with a datapad. "Inventory check. And if the Dawn Chaser's cargo turns out to be trouble, I want the scrubbers ready for overtime." The ship shivered. "Brace," Talia said. Micrometeors swarm on the leading edge. Oren rolled the Starfall into the drift. Dust and pebbles became streaks of radiance peppering the shields in a sudden drumroll. A hard clang sounded deep aft. A soft alert chimed on Talia's board, not damage, but a lockout warning. One of the external sensor blisters had sealed itself. "Not on my watch," she muttered, overriding it. Protocols exist for a reason, Malak said. So does common sense, she shot back. Oren's jaw flexed once, but his eyes stayed on the drift. The words landed heavy, the same tone, the same defiance, as in that cramped shuttle cockpit years ago. Heat, alarms screaming, Vega's light shuddering apart in the dark. And her voice then, exactly like now, cutting through the chaos, so does common sense. Damage? Arya asked. Cosmetic, Talia said. We look experienced. Let's not get more character today. The chuckle that drifted around the bridge died cleanly. 2. The call. The comms panel chimed, a thin, skeletal note threaded through the nebula's growl. Contact, Oren said. Narrow beam ping. Bearing 049 by 11. Not ours. 3 tones, a pause, 3 more, tapping through a wall. Alien carrier, Jace said. But the piggyback almost looks Terran. Military distress code. 2 centuries old. His brow furrowed. That encryption hasn't been used since the Orion conflicts. Malak's eyes narrowed. Almost? Oren's hands stilled on the helm. His grandfather had served in that era. He could almost hear the man's voice, low, certain, warning him to stay away. His jaw shifted once, but he said nothing. Could be a relic, Malak said after a beat. Or bait. Arya's gaze stayed on the main screen. Plot intercept. Quarter thrust. Security, warm prep. 3. The ghost. The ship's passive sensors reported total silence, yet the crew swore they felt a slow, arrhythmic vibration under their boots. Scan, Arya said. Dreadnought mass, Jace said. No transponders. Whole geometry's reading is grown, not forged. Malak's voice was low. No weapon profiles, yet. Fingers tightened just a fraction too soon, the kind of reflex that could mean the difference between a warning shot and a war. Even Malak's breathing read as calibrated, each inhale measuring the room before deciding to exhale. Above, Ilera scanned the overlays. No match in any known archive. This thing's a ghost. The mainframe tagged the contact automatically, Draconis. Jace didn't remember entering the name. Celine's voice cut through. If that's partially biological, I want contamination protocols ready. 4. Raiders. Multiple contacts, Malak said. Closing fast. 3 raider holes burned in from the drift, drives flaring hard, their outlines jagged and predatory. The first shots came in as a staccato of modified laser pulses, dirty, overclocked beams that chewed at the shields but lacked the bite to punch through. Not unless they had a dozen more friends waiting. Evasive, Arya ordered. Oren rolled the Starfall hard, bringing her broadside between the raiders and the Draconis. The hull shuddered under another volley, sparks chasing across the forward shields. Electronic warfare protocols up, Jace called from his station. The defensive suite purred online, spilling interference and false echoes into the void. The next raider salvo came in scattered beams drifting wide like they'd been drunk at the stick. The tactical display flared with static, every hostile icon stuttering and doubling before snapping back. Through the viewport, one raider's beams jittered off course mid-flight, scraping harmlessly across empty space. Jace's grin was audible. Signals in their teeth now, chew on that. The first raider swung wide and lined up for a strafing pass, too close. Targeting me, Oren muttered. The Starfall's port guns spat a triple burst. The lead beam cored the raider mid-hull, the next 2 stitched across its drive array. For half a second it kept coming, then the reactor went. The detonation flared white-blue in the drift, shredding its wing panels and scattering molten fragments that pinged harmlessly across the Starfall's shields. The shockwave kicked the other 2 raiders out of formation. One veered instinctively, the other firing wild. Return fire, Arya said. The Starfall's enhanced multi-beam projectors lit the dark with spearing lines of white gold. One raider's shields flared and collapsed, its hull venting atmosphere in a thin spiral. The others broke formation, angling for flanking positions. Orin caught the lead ship's arc and snapped the Starfall through a roll that threw its targeting solution into chaos. Malek's voice came through tactical, a rare grin in it. Easy, Ace, this isn't the Acheron run. You start racking kills out here, they'll think we came for a bounty. Orin didn't answer. His focus stayed locked forward, but somewhere under it, Vega's ghost stirred. The raiders fired a last ragged volley before peeling off, drives screaming into the distance. Whatever nerve they had left snapped with the reactor fireball still painting the drift. Their attack dissolved into a scramble, drives spiking, weapons chattering erratically as they looked for an exit vector. Talia exhaled. Damage? Arya asked. Superficial hull scoring. Comms relay fried, Talia said. 5 orders. Return to port, Command's voice ordered. Do not attempt docking. Arya let the silence stretch. Return to port? And the Dawn Chaser? 14 crew, forgotten already. And the derelict, no investigation? Orin leaned back in his chair. Better learn how to turn your ship around first. It should have been a throwaway jab, the kind they'd traded for years. But it landed heavier than he meant. For her, the words dragged Vega to the surface, the moment the call came and she'd waited too long to reverse course, telling herself there was still time. Arya's eyes cut to him, sharp enough to pin him in place. The look lasted a second, no more, but it carried the weight of a warning. We were sent for the Dawn Chaser. 14 lives still unaccounted for, and Command says turn back? And here we are, staring at Draconis. Tell me that isn't worth a closer look. Orin's glance toward her was quick and unreadable, there and gone before she could call it a challenge. He hadn't meant the jab as anything more than habit, but it had landed wrong, and he could feel it. The others heard it as banter. Jace flicked a glance